All right, guys, today we're going to read Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes. And one of the things we're going to be doing is trying to make sure we can clarify our ideas. Okay, and what do we really mean by clarifying? How do we understand, especially when we're confused? So, number one, when we are confused, going back and looking for something important that you may have missed is obviously very important. We can reread. So, the first strategy here to clarify ideas, we're talking about getting a better understanding of the text, right? If something's not clear, let's go back and reread. All right, let's take a look at the example here. Not clear to you. I'm not sure why other people didn't stop to help the woman. Well, if we go back and reread, maybe we take a look at some more details here. Look, it was about 11 o'clock at night, dark, and she was walking alone. Look what's underlined. 11 p.m. at night. It's dark. She's alone. Not saying it's the right thing to do, but maybe that's why other people didn't stop to help this woman out. Okay. Number two, it says to read on, keep reading. The author may give a little information later. Take a look at my cursor. You think the boy must have gotten hurt when he fell on his back. And then later on, while reading on, a few sentences later, you come to this. If I turn you loose, will you run? Asked the woman. Yes'm, said the boy. You think the boy must be okay if he can run away. So not only can we go back and reread, but another strategy is just reading on, and perhaps just a little bit later, the author will give us enough information to understand any confusion we may have. Take a look at this picture. Here is our title, Thank You, Ma'am, by Langston Hughes. Tell me something perhaps that you see. Take a good look at top, bottom, left, right. I'm getting a feeling of very busy. It's a lot of activity going on. We're not in the middle of nowhere here. Okay, guys, let's set a purpose. We're going to find out the consequences. One of your vocabulary words, right, guys? Find out the consequences or results for a young person who makes the choice to commit a crime.
She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but a hammer and nails. It had a long strap, and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, dark, and she was walking alone, when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with the sudden single tug the boy gave it from behind. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. Instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him until his teeth rattled. After that, the woman said, "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him tightly, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now ain't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes'm." The woman said, "What did you want to do it for?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." She said, "You're a liar." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, will you run?" asked the woman. "Yes'm," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. "Lady, I'm sorry," whispered the boy. Your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you." "Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" "No'm," said the boy. "Then it will get washed this evening," said the large woman, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow-wild, in tennis shoes and blue jeans. The woman said, "You ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry?" "No, said the being dragged boy. "I just want you to turn me loose." "Was I bothering you when I turned that corner?" asked the woman. "No, but you put yourself in contact with me," said the woman. "If you think that contact is not going to last a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones." Sweat popped out on the boy's face, and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him around in front of her, put a half Nelson about his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside, down a hall, and into a large kitchenette-furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open too, so he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of her room. She said, "What is your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face," said the woman, whereupon she turned him loose at last. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. "Let the water run until it gets warm," she said. "Here's a clean towel." "You gonna take me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face. I would not take you nowhere," said the woman.